Hello and welcome to Surprise Radio. I'm your host, Surprise, and if this is your first time here, this is your number one source for independent, underground, unsigned, and underrated music and artists. On today's show, I am interviewing Killakoi. They also wanted to kind of chat with me a little bit, and it was a back and forth, so there wasn't actually a very good start place for that interview. So I'm recording this little intro to let you know this is the interview with Killakoi. I'm also wanting to throw in that while we talked about their production and video production company, we never actually named it. It is called Pangea Creative Group, and I will be linking the website in the description below, along with Killakoi's website, their Spotify, their YouTube. As always, I hope that you enjoy, and until next time, have a good one, and here's Killakoi.
Well, cool. Thank you for meeting with us, man. We love meeting with people that support us and love our music, and we kind of just want to, before we start with your interview, we kind of just want to ask you a few questions if that's all right, and
Yeah, of course.
maybe we could play you a song. I know you're really into the band. We could play you one of your favorite songs, or we could just play Wasted. We put a little performance of Wasted together for you. So
Right on.
yeah, that's one of the first things we want to ask is like how did you find Killakoi in the first place?
I will be honest, I don't remember how I found you. I know that, so you know that I do my Surprise Radio show,
Yeah.
and it's a YouTube show where I would just pour through all the mediums that I could to start finding more independent bands, more bands. And it all started with me actually just trying to not get copyright strikes. I wanted to be a radio DJ. A Light Divided started this whole journey for me. They came and played. My best friend plays bass. I grew up with him. He plays bass in Lydia Can't Breathe. And he brought A Light Divided with him to Tyler, which is right by where I live in Texas. They played a show. Nobody showed up. It was so fucking embarrassing. And because all of our friends were like, yeah, we're gonna go. And you know how that goes. You're in a band. That's happened to you, I'm sure. And nobody showed up. And I really wanted to show them that East Texas could support bands better than that. So I asked them, I was like, I've always wanted to be a radio DJ. I want to practice on one of your videos. So that's what I did. That's what started it. This is a long-winded ass answer. Sorry. So that's how my radio show started. Was I was just trying to find bands that I could feature that wouldn't get me blocked. And then I realized that there was this really fun collection of bands that had just enough views to not get me any strikes, but the claims or whatever. I don't care about that. Anyway, Falling Through April is from Charlotte, which led me somehow to Killakoi and Something Clever being featured actually in the same show.
Oh, cool.
So I featured 11 Days and Fall in Line on the same radio show. And
Nice.
the video to Fall in Line really touched me. I really liked the concept of the video. The song is great, but the video is really what got me. And that's why I do what I do, is because there's so many bands that struggle to make videos, and they're not easy to make. They're not cheap to make. And you put it out there and there's no MTV to play it for you anymore. So I kind of tried to fill that void.
Yeah, we like making videos, but sometimes we know that we shouldn't be spending as much money on videos as we do, but
yeah,
we just love doing it.
That wouldn't. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that's why we started learning how to film videos ourselves. I don't know if you know that, but we filmed the video for Toxic ourselves, and we filmed Scars Remains video for what's that song called?
Stand Up and Fight.
Stand Up and Fight. And
we also did for our song When It's Raining, we did that one as well. But Fall in Line, we worked with another videographer on that, and that was a challenge because we wanted to tell that story, but to be able to pack that into
a 3-minute song.
Yeah, 3-minute like clip of time with like two storylines happening simultaneously was very challenging. But once we storyboarded it out, we eliminated and found what the key points to make and how to make it get across without actual dialogue. And that's how it turned out.
It's a little goofy, but it's a really fun video. It's a good video.
Yeah, I was definitely aware that you guys were making videos. That was one of my questions that I was going to ask you about. Was I know that this year you've been more quiet as far as live shows and things like that, but you've been very busy doing behind the scenes stuff. I know, Kelly, you do videography and also photography.
So like we don't really do photography, but like Jordan was saying, like a couple of us will gather up and shoot music videos and stuff for bands, and that's kind of been the main thing we've been doing. And if I do it, usually these guys are with me.
Yeah, it's a lot more videography. We don't really call ourselves photographers.
Yeah.
We don't really take photos, and we don't try to like compete with, you know, Mac Brown and Hannah Lee and stuff like that. Like, because those guys are really good at what they do, and
Yeah.
you know, we're focused on video. We're not so focused on picture as much.
And I know that
That
Sam,
was
you're
the
doing
question.
Sam, you're doing sound also on the side. So, you know, it's cool for me to have seen in person you guys doing more of your side projects instead of just Killakoi. But of course, the question that I'm going to end up asking, I guess, I don't know whose interview is starting or finishing, and I'm not trying to take over. But you know, what can you tease about what's on the horizon for Killakoi as far as music and albums and shows and things like that? Are you able to tease anything?
Of course. I also want to backtrack just a little bit.
Of course.
And, say that part of the reason that we've started doing what you're seeing us doing right now and started to like really branch out and tell our stories, because we realize that no one knows about all of the cool shit that we do. It's like, right now, even what you just said, like you said, oh yeah, Kelly, you film the videos, right? And Sam, you run the sound, but little do you maybe not know is we all do all of that. So like Sam and I run the studio that we're sitting in right now, and we produce a bunch of bands that you know very well. We produced Dove Cage, we've produced Scholars Remain, we've produced Strike the Tower, we've produced Renee Phoenix from Fit for Rivals. We produced a bunch of really cool bands, and we've been honing our craft at getting really good at writing songs, and we want to share that with people. And also, you know, Kelly Robbie and I have been working on building a videography company and getting good at filming and making videos and making stuff just look stylistic and cool. And we feel like a lot of people don't know as much about that as, like, on the surface they know, like, yeah, we do that stuff, but we like immerse ourselves in this world. We live and breathe music and everything that comes with it, and we want to show the people that, because I don't think people know just how dedicated to our craft we actually are. So I did want to, I don't know, I just felt the need to like rant about that for a second.
I'm very pleased that you did, because I did want to focus on that part of what you're doing, because it is an important part of music that a lot of people don't get right or don't understand. And I wanted more people to be aware of what you do. So that's one of the reasons why I was very giddy and keen to talk to you.
Yeah, man. You know, some of the, like, what drives us the hardest in all of this is inspiration. We want to give people what our inspirations have given us, and even beyond like musical inspirations. Like, we all have our, you know, we've all gone and seen our idols play live and been like, I want to be that one day. But we're all also really into personal development, and one of Sam and I's biggest heroes is a man named Brendan Burchard. He's not a musician at all. He's a self-help coach, and he teaches about just high performance is his whole thing.
Leveling
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, he's like coached presidents, he coached Oprah, and he's also coached like moms of families and Fortune 50 CEOs and YouTubers, and
Entrepreneurs and
he's done a lot of stuff. So he has a lot of good stuff to say in regards to reaching a high level of success and maintaining it, and especially without sacrificing your relationships, because a lot of people think that you have to abandon your relationships or make sacrifices with your family to be able to chase your dreams. But the real dream is being able to have high achievements while also keeping your relationships intact and taking care of everyone around you.
So basically, like, what I'm getting at is our goal is to start to inspire not only other musicians, but like everyone to see that there is another level for everybody. And we're trying to find a way. This is sort of me leading into your question, is in this next phase of Killakoi, we are trying to find a way to be cool and to be inspirational at the same time, because we really want to show people that like there's so much more to life than most people are like letting themselves see and letting themselves live. And like, most people are just going day by day and not actually experiencing like true experiences and like true happiness and joy. And like, people are happy, but they're not like
not feeling the day.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
feeling the gratitude of the things that they have, and they're not feeling the love of the people around them, even though it's there. And I know that's, I guess we're just going
Or
off.
even just like taking a step towards the thing that you want to do in life. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people are scared to take a step, but we're out here trying to take a step every day, and little by little we get there, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's not an easy thing to do, and that's one of the things I love about playing shows and going to shows, is that it's like this big family gathering of everybody, and everyone has all these different struggles and a lot of similar struggles, and it's sort of this big connection between everybody. And the songs that we write about a lot of those struggles, it's like this huge release. And it's just very comforting when, ever since I was a child, going to see a big band, or even now going to see bands that I love and connecting with the music that they've written. And it's like, we just want to give that back to the world. And yeah, it's just like one of the greatest things that we can think about.
Yeah.
So we're in a big planning phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're cooking up music, cooking up a lot of visual ideas, video ideas, just sort of advertising, rebranding how we are perceived and how we put ourselves out there. And yeah, so it's a big growth phase right now. And next year we think we're going to hit it really hard.
We're gonna try to cut through the noise.
And to be honest
Yeah.
with you, you know, I think part of what we're going to start doing is being more vulnerable about the things that we're talking about right now. Like, you know, I can tell you, you're asking us what's Killakoi's future look like. It looks a little blurry. It's definitely like we all have very lofty goals, and we're all very driven and inspired individuals. And one way or another, Killakoi is going to reach those goals. But right now, we are sort of in this like phase of, we were given an identity that we didn't exactly give ourselves, and now we're discovering that maybe it's not truly our identity, and that we want to morph it into our identity. And not that it's not us, but it's like not who we're becoming, if that makes sense.
Of course, everybody grows.
So right now we are in a huge just like rebrand growth phase. We're writing music that's pretty substantially different than any music you've ever heard from Killakoi before, but it's still rock music.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably have like 100 demos this year in the folder.
And
Yeah.
another honest truth about some of that is we feel like we're better at writing songs for other people than we are at writing for ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's this freeness when clients come into the studio to write with us, like Dove Cage and Scars Remain. Like I was saying earlier, part of our drive is to inspire people. So like when they come in, the focus is like, all right, how do we make these guys inspired? How do we do the best thing for them? And how do we just like make them happy? And it's like all about them, and it's not worrying about like this external goal, but it's worried about like them loving the process. But then when we sit down to write a Killakoi song, it's like, all right, how do we write a dope song? It's just like we're so focused on the end goal sometimes that the process gets a little
Overthought.
distorted. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a little bit of a thing going on this year, but we've sort of started to break through that a bit and just not worry so much about it and just kind of have fun with what we're doing. And that's been one of the key elements to being creative. And I mean, there's also a lot of science behind the creative regions of your brain kind of shut down or get dampened down when you're in a state of stress or a state of wanting something to be a certain way. But if you just kind of let things flow, then that's where the real creativity actually comes out. Really cool.
As you'll see, we are very good at just pooping out words.
We'll go off. He's probably like,
Well, let me go ahead and while I respect your answer, remind you that you are fucking Killakoi. You guys write. I don't know that I've heard a bad Killakoi song, and I can't say that about most of the bands out there. I mean, you guys write really good music, so remember that. Just trust what you've done and put some of that shit out there. Not like rushing you. I'm just saying, don't overthink it too much, because you guys make damn good music, and I'm really excited to see where y'all go next.
Yeah.
I know that you guys are from the Charlotte area. What are some bands that maybe when you were coming into the scene helped you get going? some, or just that you really liked, or some of the, because the Charlotte area to me, when I started doing this, honestly, the Baltimore scene seemed to be where it was, and slowly I've noticed that Charlotte's really popped up. So, what are some of the ones that helped you get to where you are? Maybe some of the ones that you see coming up now that you're real excited about.
I have one that popped to mind like immediately. So this is like 10 years back, maybe more, when I was in Something Clever, and there's a band called Fusebox Poet. I don't know if you might eventually recognize the name if you don't recognize that name, but those guys turned into Red Sun Rising, and then Red Sun Rising turned into The Violent now. I don't know if you're familiar with any of them.
I have heard them.
Two of those guys, they've always been like a step ahead. So I've always personally sort of tried to follow in their footsteps. So those guys are really awesome. I don't know if you guys have any.
To be honest with you, when we first started, we were in a weird situation where I had just gotten back from working with a very, very talented guitar player who was like one of the most talented musicians I've ever played with, and he had a lot of potential to do really big things, but just didn't quite grab it. And I worked with this big time producer in Los Angeles and made a really cool relationship with him. And then when the band with the guitar player fell apart, Sam and I started Killakoi, which was a band a long time ago when we were like 13 years old, and we named it King's Evil. And then I joined this blues band with the guitar player, and then that Killakoi or King's Evil or whatever it was called kind of died off. And then I rehashed it when I left this blues band. And me and Sam wrote 2 songs. We wrote Pangea and we wrote Ripple. And I was like, you know what? I know this big time producer in LA. Let's just send it to him. Let's just see what he says. And I sent it to him, and he was like, dude, you got a great voice. I think the songs can be better. I think you guys need to like learn about songwriting, but I really want to help you. And we went out to Los Angeles for 2 weeks and worked with him. His name is Sahaj Takatan. He's the singer of a band called Ra. And he put years of knowledge and experience into me, Sam, and Robbie in 2 weeks. Like, we went there and he just loaded us full of all the shit we needed to know about how to be a successful band in 2018. And we took it home and we ran with it. And we just did all of it. And he introduced us to Eric German, which is a music attorney who works with Five Finger Death Punch and Asking Alexandria and all these bands. And then Eric German introduced us to Glenn Mungo, which he helped us brand ourselves. And Glenn Mungo introduced us to 10 Years. The band 10 Years was being managed by a company called Empire Rain. So then we were managed by them, and it was just this trickle effect that all started with Sahaj. That's not exactly the answer you were looking for, but to be honest, I feel like a lot of bands didn't like us when we first started because we just like went from 0 to 10 like pretty quickly. And I think a lot of people were mad about that because they didn't know why, and they kind of thought it was because of our mommy's money. And it wasn't about that. It was just the knowledge that we'd been given by this industry professional, and we just ran with it, and we did all of it like without fail, and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, that took us from being kids that were just jamming riffs like in a room to actually making real songs,
being songwriters.
And like, I wouldn't be anywhere I am with recording and audio engineering if it weren't for Sahaj. And I mean, it's a little bit, I feel like there is a little bit more to an answer to that question. I mean, this is a big answer, but technically 50 Watt Freight Train plugged the band you were in.
Yeah,
with Sahaj.
Darby, the singer of 50 Watt Freight Train, has actually always been really supportive of me. And Kirk, the drummer for 50 Watt Freight Train, is a really really good guy.
They had already worked with Sahaj, and it was like you said, like me, you, and Robbie had Killakoi when we were in high school, and then it sort of tapered off when you went off and got out of high school, and then when that band wasn't working out, I was like, we should do this. This is the real thing. You really want to sing and play guitar, not play bass.
Yeah.
And
so I guess I was kind of getting to that. I wasn't thinking about 50 Watt, but that is a great point. I was going to say Jake Haldenvang is the person who introduced me to Sahaj, so I have to give him a lot of credit for helping me get there. But 50 Watt Freight Train is the person who introduced Jake to Sahaj.
Yeah.
And Darby and Kirk have always been really good to me, and they're really great guys. And even, even to expand upon your question a little bit more, Danny from Falling Through April has always been nothing but amazingly helpful and nice. And when we first started, Michaela wasn't in the band. I think Matt Carlson maybe was the singer of the band at the time. And I actually grew up with Matt in School of Rock a long time ago, but Danny was always super helpful. He came out and helped us set up our very first in-ear rig. And
I remember that.
So Danny from Falling Through April was a big help. Beyond the Fade at the time was like one of the bigger bands in Charlotte. And I got a lot of advice from Jason Tedder. So I, have to give Jason Tedder a little bit of credit, even though he's a meathead. I'll tell him right to his face. I love you, Jason, but if you see this, you know it.
I also had a manager.
Jason and Neil Jackson was like, when I was 13, I thought Neil Jackson was like a rock star. I like worshipped that guy. So yeah, Jason and Neil from Beyond the Fade gave us a lot of advice and helped us out.
I was gonna say, in Something Clever, I had a manager named Brandon Hinson who gave me a lot of music industry knowledge as well, so I could give him a shout out.
One of the final
does too.
Yeah.
One of the final
He still
bands I was
helps
gonna
me.
mention was Something Clever, because when we had first started, Something Clever was, doing the things that we wanted to be doing in Charlotte. And Kelly and I actually grew up together. Kelly had come to the music school that my family owns when she was 14 and I was 12 or whatever. And so me and Kelly have known each other for like 15 years. Same with Sam and Rob. We've all known each other for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And when we started Killakoi, I remember I sent Kelly the demos and was like, "What do you think of these?"
And I was like, wow, these actually sound really good, guys. Yeah, here we are.
Robbie, I wanted to ask you some of your influences and heroes.
Well,
yeah.
As I said before, this isn't musical, but Brendan Burchard is a massive hero to me and Sam, because we've been through some really dark times, and when we found Brendan Burchard, he saved us for sure. So I hope one day to be able to meet him and just say thank you for introducing me to personal development and to high performance. Because if it wasn't for Brendan, I don't know if we would have gotten as far as we've gotten. But musically, we've got tons of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a mixture of producers and bands for me. Like when I was younger, I got into music from playing Guitar Hero. And,
Same.
Same.
I got into Guitar Hero Metallica specifically, and that was what got me really into metal. And throughout that, like I had the guitar and I had the drum kit too, and I started out playing drums, and then eventually I told my mom, like, I really want to go see Metallica. I know they do real shows. And so we went to see a show, and it was, like I was saying before, like one of the greatest things in life to me.
Just on the off chance that it happened, did you see them at Lollapalooza?
I did not.
Oh shit. I actually, so way back in the day, I dated a girl from Charlotte. That's actually where my original Charlotte ties come from, is I lived in Charlotte for just a little while.
Oh,
and I ended up going to Lollapalooza '96 with her and her dad. So, and Metallica headlined. And so I was like, oh man, tell me I was at the same Metallica concert as Sam. That'd be badass.
So
you saw him
I was
with Lamb of
actually
God.
not even born yet in
Oh,
'96. I was born in '98. So
my old ass. All right, cool. Right on. Let's go.
But
Hell yeah.
but yeah, I saw him with Lamb of God and Gojira.
Man, that sounds like such a sick lineup
yeah,
right
that
now. But
sounds like-
I know when
Yeah.
you were young, you didn't give a shit about Lamb of God or Gojira.
Yeah, no, I was just like, I want to see Metallica, but anyway, Metallica's a big one. Alice in Chains is also a very big one as well.
Same for me.
And then getting into high school, it was like Primus, Korn, and that was when I started to play bass as well. So those were big things, and then metal like Lamb of God and all of that. And then over time, like we mentioned Sahaj earlier, Sahaj put years on us. And all the producers we worked with have given us a lot of knowledge, and there's a lot of producers we look up to in the industry, even pop songwriters that
One of our favorite like songwriters in the world's name is Max Martin. I mean, us and every other songwriter in the world, but like Max Martin is one of Sam and I's biggest influences, just because he's like,
oh yeah.
he's bigger than John Lennon. So like, so I don't know.
Well, yeah,
Sam
on
and
the
I's
amount of the hits scale,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
Sam and I's like biggest goal in life is to just be amazing songwriters. So
Yeah. Yeah, we just want to be able to write any kinds of songs, and anybody that comes into the studio, just help them reach their goal, the top level, and exceed what they thought they could be. And because that's sort of what happened to us when we went to Sahaj. Like, we thought we were just gonna record the songs, but then he was like, no, this part, let's get rid of this, let's add a new part, do it like this. And then we were like, oh, that sounds way better. Like, we never knew we could sound that good. And then took it home and rode with it and just kept studying songwriting.
Yeah, when Sahaj showed us like what a producer was, we were like, oh, okay, so that's how this happens. And then we started, like, we bought Cubase and we started making our own songs, and we produced Disease by Scars Remain. I'm sure you know the song. It was the very first song we ever produced, and it was like 6 months into us using Cubase or a DAW or whatever, and it sounds like trash compared to anything that we've. It just sounds bad, but it's just cool that Sahaj is definitely one of our biggest influences, just because of all the knowledge he gave us and just all the wow he gave us the very first time we went out. Another producer that we all really love is his name is Drew Falk, or sometimes known as Wizard Blood. He's a really, really amazing producer. He produced that last Motionless in White record. He did some of that Wage War record, the Papa Roach record with Ego Trip on it. I think it was called Ego Trip.
Yeah.
He's just a really, really amazing producer. He writes songs in like 15 to 30 minutes, and it's very inspiring. And I know Kelly, Robbie, and I grew up like loving Avenged Sevenfold, especially Kelly.
Yeah. I sort of started with like pop punk roots, which kind of switched into Avenged Sevenfold pretty early, and they've been like my all-time favorite band ever since. They're doing interesting things now, but they're still great, and I love. I have other musical influences as well. Like we all love Bring Me the Horizon.
Oh yeah, Bring Me the Horizon is like our favorite band. If we had to give you a favorite band,
they do, I think things that they do are a little bit more influence. They have more influence on us than like stuff that Avenged is doing right now.
I always feel like they're one step ahead of everybody.
They are. Yeah.
They're geniuses.
There's a lot of pop artists we love too. Post Malone, The Weeknd, Ariana Grande, a lot of stuff like that too. Also, just going back real quick to the Scars of Maine thing, I wanted to note that we didn't think the song sounded like trash, or the song was trash.
Whatever.
The mix of the song could be a lot better.
I'll tell Travis his song sucked. I'm just kidding.
We wrote some of that.
I'm just kidding. The song. That's not what I meant. That is what I meant.
Yeah,
I meant the mix.
Let's let him move on.
You guys are just running away with this interview. I was literally going to make a comment about that, and Sam just circled right back around to it. So you don't even need me. Y'all just keep talking.
Yeah.
I know that you guys.
To sort of wrap up the question, we have a lot of influences like amongst all of us, as do every band. But I think right now, I think maybe an answer you want to hear is our big influences right now are Bring Me the Horizon, 9 Inch Nails, and like modern pop music. Just like
Bad Omens as well.
Bad Omens, but everything Max Martin has done. But
Yeah.
like we're really trying to do this like industrial, modern, active thing. And this
a lot like what Trent would do is
like
mostly
what would Trent
produce
do
the
if he
whole
wrote
song.
songs for Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah. You guys have never done a cover, right?
Not like released live, but we do covers all the time. But we
Would you
don't
ever?
like the whole like pop. I don't personally like the whole like pop goes punk thing. Like
You don't?
Our Last Night does the metal pop covers, and I personally just hate that shit.
That's my favorite kind of cover.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
That's
I'm
okay.
not unwilling to do it, but
Yeah, I mean, all the power to them, but I just don't generally listen to a lot of those covers.
I just thought that Set for Tomorrow did a really cool version of the Weeknd's song, whatever it's called. I can't think of it, but it's ones like that not only is it a blend, but they actually make it really sound really good. Those are the ones that I like.
that's the ones I like too, because sometimes it's just like, let's just take this pop song and scream every word. And
True.
I'm like,
True.
that's trash.
That's not a
Took a
thing.
really good song and made it really bad, but whatever.
Yeah, that
I
is
do
definitely
agree
a
with
thing.
you. Like if they do it in a new way that feels like fresh and different, but still like keeps the integrity of the song, then I'm down with it.
Yeah, we don't necessarily just hate every cover that's gone metal.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, there is a bunch of that crap out there. Guys, before I go, I want to tell you how much I really appreciate you. Musically, what you do for everybody, what you do for me. I know that you've put songs out that literally speak to me. I don't, last year when I did my end of the year top blah blah blah, you know, singer, drummer, guitar player, literally every one of you guys were on there, all of you. So I did that because I believe in you and I love you guys, and I'm going to see you live. And I don't mean to gush over you. I know that you guys are just humans just like everyone else, but at the same time, you know, when you're listening to music and you're getting into it and stuff, you've got your favorites. You guys just listed a bunch of yours. Mine are like Nirvana and bands like that too. You know, I like a lot of the same ones you do. Some of them are different. You guys are on that list. I don't care if you've got the record sales that they do or not. In my eyes, you guys are right there with them. And I love you, music. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.